Welcome to the Slade Ham experiment. You're on board the midnight spaceship. The lights have been dimmed for your comfort. It's a red eye. So sit back, relax, put a blanket over your head. I'm drinking tea because I got to stay awake. I got to pilot this thing. And it's my weekly journey through different teas. This is a Malabar black tea. That's what we're drinking today. And black tea. Anyway, I'll go on and on about tea. We got a flight to get into. Things happening. Storms are coming. Things are changing. Life is happening. Buckle up. It's the Slade Ham experiment. I should have had this episode knocked out already, but I was derailed by Mother Nature, who every time I have a week off and every time I get ready to plan some things tends to go, oh, well, we're just closing the state for the week. It's another storm system moving in. We just had 2 tornadic systems recently. This one's more wet than windy, but it's on its way. Possible flooding, 2 to 4 inches above I-10, and then God knows what, up to 10 inches below I-10, all the way down to the coast, which means that the trees around my house are going to fall. That means that things are going to flood, and it brings back so many memories, which make you ask questions like, why do you live on the coast, Slade, if you know this is going to happen every year? If you know that every time it rains a little bit, it floods because you live 26 feet below sea level, and that's how science works. Why would you live there, Slade? And I go, well, because everyone I know is here. And you should rightfully go, well, why is everyone you know there? Why are they so stupid as to live in a place that's 104 degrees in the summer and the mosquitoes are gargantuan and the humidity is 109% outside? It's like living at the bottom of a hot swimming pool. And I was preparing to tape my podcast today when I got sidetracked by the weather report. And then I went, well, there's some branches I got to go take down. And I'm a problem solver. If stuff needs to get done, I know how to do it. God dog it. And branches need to come down, I look at what I have. And the problem is I don't have anything. I got like a Sawzall, like a DeWalt 20 volt, hold it in your hand. The blade's about the size of your finger Sawzall. So I'm up on the roof. Chiseling stuff, and branches, man, look so much smaller when you're on the ground. You get up there, you cut that branch off, you're like, this is the size, I'm gonna have to put this over my shoulder, lug it down a 45-degree incline, hump it over my shoulder into the middle of the yard, and then figure out a way to get it around the fence. This is a nightmare. From the ground, it looked like a couple of twigs. I could have taken scissors, snip, snip, snip. Well, we're ready for a storm. I was up there all day today. And I come down. I remember playing as a kid. I used to be outside all the time drinking from the hose. Couldn't even get back inside on a Saturday. My mom locked the door. Garage door was cracked halfway. There's shade in there. Don't die. But I almost died out there today. Maybe I'm old. Maybe it's hotter. Maybe things are getting worse. Makes me think of how many storms I've lived through. I take them for granted. Now, all right, well, I guess the power is going to go out for a little bit because we need a fan and a generator or something. I remember living through some hurricane. I think it was Hurricane Rita, and I had evacuated. This is probably 2005. Am I right about this? 4 or 5, somewhere in there. Hurricane Rita rolled through. My comedy club was open, so it was definitely between 2003 and 2007. I can place certain things. And I was dating. I was with I had this psychotic ex. Many of you have heard me tell stories of her. She and I were together. We evacuated my brother had moved to Houston. He was living here in Houston with his wife and I guess 1, maybe 2 of the nieces at the time, probably just one of them. But we all just rallied up. That's how families down in the South, man, at least mine used to. If something went down, you just all ended up in one place. Let's see what happens. We all going to happen to it. It's all going to happen to us together. It was me and my crazy ex, my mom, 2 of my brothers, my 2 cats. Then my brother was there with his wife and 2 nieces. And I think they might have lived in a townhouse at the time. It was a lot. And the storms blew through, and I had my comedy club, and I had locked the doors and put my motorcycle inside. I did everything I could, plywooded everything up. I forget people north of I-10 probably don't have to plywood, have never had to plywood their homes. Maybe you plywood up a house for a tornado. I don't know. So I was itching. Sitting there in that place, wake up every morning. There's like one bathroom. There's like 42 people living in the house. There's never enough food. Even if there is, somebody else is already eating it. It's a scramble for resource. So after about the second day, was like, well, I need to go check on the comedy club. Storm seems to have passed. They were like, yeah, well, Beaumont's closed. What do you mean it's closed? Like they closed the city. You can't get in. I was like, man, I'm going to get in. So I jumped in my car. I left my crazy ex there with my whole family. God bless him. I drove my car all the way back to Beaumont. And I'll be damned if the city wasn't closed. They had the National Guard on the freeway. All the cops were out. You couldn't get in. So I said, well, they said, you can get in, but only, if there's a real reason. I said, well, I own a business in town. And they said, well, you're going to take that up with these guys. I drove, it might have been 3 hours. I navigated this city like a video game, trying to sneak in. Oh, no, you can't go that way. No, you can't get in at all. And then you're driving through neighborhoods, which normally would be your path out. Oh, well, I'll just get where I'm going through this neighborhood. It's a back road, except there's trees down in every neighborhood. There's no power anywhere. It is a total maze. 3 hours later, I get to my club. All right, everything's locked up. Okay, cool. Then I go back to my house, our apartment. Someone had broken in and stolen our muffins. I think I talked about that before. They didn't steal anything else. Probably because there wasn't anything else to steal. They stole a box of muffins. I guess they were hungry. I locked my apartment back up. There's still no power. And then I just went up to the comedy club, and I kicked it there for 8 days. I went home to take a shower every now and again. I think I hung a hammock. I had couches there from sponsors. It was the most, all right, well, and then I had a full bar. And I'd open up those big doors, get a crosswind in. That's probably the worst storm I ever went through. That was 8 days of living like that in a hammock in my comedy club, drinking whiskey and eating. I guess FEMA was giving out free meals, and I was eating those. I wasn't laughing at the free meals. I was laughing at the fact that my trifling heifer of an ex, who hadn't worked at the time in like 2 years, came back and filled out all the FEMA relief money and then got it all sent to her bank account and didn't use any of it towards any of the stuff for the place we were living in. And then I tried to apply, and they were like, we're so sorry, that address has already collected the maximum amount of money. And then she went and gambled in Louisiana with that money as soon as they opened the roads back up. I forget how much of the storm culture is culture down here. We got a Cajun Navy. You don't have that in Iowa, Minnesota. You don't have a Cajun Navy that if shit goes down, the governor just says, hey, all you with a pirogue or a boat, you're helping out now. And you're like, well, I got a kayak. Get in the water. You're Cajun Navy. These people rescued more people during Hurricane Katrina than anyone in the government or anyone in the military, I think. And I think that's what we should look for when we're looking at how to build an organization that solves problems and isn't politically driven. I don't know if they're politically driven. Maybe the Cajun Navy's a nightmare, but it seems like a moderately decentralized bunch of dudes with good intentions who get together. And I tell you what, the world could use more of that. Some of you may have noticed an uptick in my social media presence, and it seems like it screams against all the nonsense I talk about how I can't stand being on there and I don't like the rule, blah, 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 blah. I'm sick of hearing myself talk about it too. The point is, I've had this conversation a few times in the last few weeks. I have kicked and clawed and punched until my knuckles are bloody at the idea of having to participate in this new whatever world we're living in communicatively. And I've realized that if I punch anymore, I'm just down to blood and bone, and I'm just concrete. There's not even a bad guy I'm really swinging at. Truth is, we have moved on. We have evolved. We have adapted. We ingest things differently, and I have to participate in that somehow. But it requires things like this. They're so difficult for us as someone like a stand-up comic, as a performer who works by themselves, because we're trained. We're trying to wrap our brain around all the parts because we know that we can't trust other people to do these things. Stand up, I gotta write it, I gotta perform it, I can't. No one can have any input in that. So when I start thinking of other things, I start assuming that I've got to do them the same way. Problem is, you can't do that and do another thing. It's very hard to keep to stay at mastery level at two things. So if I go become a master marketer, then I stop becoming a great performer and comedian. And what I'm interested in is the writing and the stuff and the creative work. So I'm working with some people to explore some ideas about how what I do and what I make can better be distributed. Because that's really what it comes down to. It's not lack of wanting to connect to an audience. It's wanting to connect to you guys without the friction of having to count likes or having to check boxes. Or do you know, if you go into Meta Business Suite, for those of you who don't have an account, they've gamified it all. The same with Instagram. There are achievements and things. And if you just do these 5 things over the course of the week and you just getting jerked through the rocky river bottom by the fishermen. But if you realize that you're something akin to an ammunition maker, a guns maker, an arms dealer, right? I got weapons. I got a book. I got 100 podcast episodes. I got 1,000 of another podcast. I got a stand-up special. Hell, I got 2 if you count the Whiskey Brothers. I got a whole nother live show that I do and footage shot from that. I've also got things I produce that aren't mine. Comedy specials for other people. And then some pilots that haven't gone anywhere yet. I've got some shorts that we're working. There's things I'm doing that an audience would enjoy. So I've had to wrap my brain around, if I take that central, there's me, there's you, right? Me, you, artist audience. If I look at that box in the middle, that huge chasm, that gap, that empty space, if I view that as social media content, then I will do a running Thelma and Louise style cliff dive into the Grand Canyon and land on my stomach. That doesn't interest me. But if I can look at that as there's me, there's you, and I'm just bridging the gap between the two, how do I solve that? And I look at social media as one of the tools I use, then maybe it's worth something. Because now I've got a country that needs the weapons. I've got a factory that makes the weapons. And I have to believe that entertainment has arms dealers as well. People who strike these deals between manufacturer and end user. And I'm trying to figure it out, and I'm having a little bit more fun now that there are other people involved in the conversation who happen to understand that part. And I'm saying all of this out loud to say that I'm not immovable, and nor should we be. But I said this many, many, many moons ago, that when things get chaotic, I like to sit in the tall grass and chill and just see which direction everything's running, where they're going to end up, which wildebeests are going to end up getting eaten by crocodiles, which ones are going to run out of energy because they didn't stop to drink before they went into the Serengeti. I'm in the tall grass, hanging out. And now that I've hung out for a while, I've seen some patterns. I've seen the things, the weaknesses in my own system that need to be patched over, the blind spots I got. And once you start to do that, it starts to get dangerous, because I did spend all the time learning to do the hard part. Now I just got to figure out the easy part. And now I'm adjusting my mindset to be a little more willing to do this. That's all. Sometimes I got to be in the right headspace to do something. I got to see it from the right direction. I don't know if this is right or wrong, but like all businesses, I do believe that there is a way to get out more than what you spend, to recoup more than you put in, at least financially, and we'll see what happens. So in that regard, stick around and let's see what I come up with from a marketing perspective. Speaking of marketing, I'm not watching the show right now because I don't know if it's going to make it, but House of Dragon is back, and I know it's back not because I have HBO Max, but because I love a good prank. And we're now in the age of AI. We were speaking about this a year or two ago about how easy it would be to just create some CGI once this AI thing really figures itself out. Well, what House of Dragon and HBO have done, they have hung gigantic banners digitally, not for real, but all across the world. So you can find footage of these house flags flying at the Manhattan Bridge and the Brooklyn Bridge and at Chapultepec Castle in Mexico. That's hard to say. I would suck as a tour guide there. I might get it down eventually, but the first few days would be, hi, welcome to here, and then get on in. Bienvenido. Chapultepec Castle. They got mad. Chapultepec, how dare you use our ancient sacrificial altar as a promotional piece? We're going to sue you. Sue who? Mexico versus HBO? I'll go to that fight. I think ABC 12 or something out of New York reported it as real. This is so hilarious to me because this is only going to happen more. Not because even the CGI is going to get better or anything like that. This is pretty damn real looking. But in the race to hurry up and get something on the air, the minute you get a story, it looks real. I saw it with my face. Let's run it. And then the audience, the people, the recipients of your news story, I put the quotes around story. It is a story. I should put the quotes around news. Your news story. Those people are far too, not dumb, but unwilling to do their own investigation or research. So they're going to run with it. Next thing you know, it's real. And then no one's even had a chance to debunk it because we're on to the next thing. And then in 10 years, people are like, no, I remember when HBO hung those banners off the Brooklyn Bridge. Greatest marketing campaign in the world. That didn't really happen. Yeah, it did. Google it. It's pretty brilliant stuff. Maybe I got to find something like that. Maybe I got to hang some stuff from a bridge to get my special scene. Who knows? It's CGI. It's the future. We can do anything. I learned to do comedy, and I'm peddling it now. So let's find a banner that says that, and let's hang it from the bridge. Because comedy is harder than it seems. With the advent of all of this social media, I can't help but notice how much art is being made. I don't know how much was being made before people knew that they could get dopamine rushes from publishing it, whether it was good or not. But I am curious because the numbers seems to have escalated. I wish there were more forms of art with a higher barrier of entry, like symphonic musician, someone who plays in a orchestra. Orchestral musician. I don't even know the difference between symphony and orchestra. I'm kind of stupid about that. But like, nobody's watching bad cellists on Instagram. You wait till you get to a moderate level of proficiency before you post your work. But that doesn't seem to be stopping anybody when it comes to painting or drawing or especially comedy. We're like, this is great. I've been doing comedy. If you go look at the stand-up comedy subreddit, you'll be staggered at people going, I just did my second open mic and my YouTube video only has 34 views. How can I fix this? I had a very good friend the other day tell me that a friend of his wants to start doing comedy. And he wants to talk to me about it. I said, well, here's what he should do. He should do comedy. He said, yeah, but he's really funny. He really likes comedy, man. I think it'd be really great. Then he should fucking do it. You should do something if you want to do it. If I wanted to do math, if I want to be an engineer, and I just came up to my engineer friends and was like, man, I think I should be an engineer. And they're like, wow, I like numbers. Numbers are cool. Well, you have any degree? No, I don't understand any of it. I just like them. I like when you put two of them next to each other, they become a different one. I don't know how. I just like that. So I think I'm going to become an engineer. And they would go, oh, my God, you got to go to school for like a while, and you got to learn some stuff. And we can't talk to you about stuff because you don't know stuff. Comedy's different. People say, I should start doing comedy. Okay. But you don't understand the way it works. But I'm the funniest person in my group. Okay. I'm always killing it when we're at the bar. Okay. You always have people setting you up. That's the biggest difference between the funny dude you know and a professional stand-up comic. Two big differences. One, the setups. At a bar, you have to be funny, right? Only when the ball comes around to you. Only when someone says something that triggers something in your brain. And then you get to spike the volleyball. And they go, oh my God, you're so funny. But in stand-up, you have to serve. You have to run around to the other end of the net. You have to bump it. You have to set it. You have to spike it. Then you have to run around to the other side while they're laughing and dig it, bump it, set it, spike it, repeat for an hour. There is no one yelling subjects at you. There's no one saying dumb setups that you can punch with that's what she said. Oh, my God, Jack's so clever. No, he's not. And the second difference is yeah, you're funny, but can you be funny at 8 o'clock? That's no matter what's going on in your life, no matter what psychopathic girlfriend is causing you grief, no matter what nightmare you're escaping from, no matter what. I remember, and I probably gotta get out of here in a second. I remember when, right before my dad died, I was on my way to a show in Washington, D.C. I was playing there for Christmas. December 17th was the day. And I flew out there, and my dad was going in for surgery, and I was on the airplane. We said some things. We got off the phone. I got to D.C., and my brother, because it's like 5, 6 in the afternoon, and I was waiting on them to call, let me know how everything was. So I'm frantic. I get from the airport to the hotel. I'm checking my watch. I got to get to the show and the this and the that. And I was opening the door to the hotel, and my brother called, and that's when I found out my dad was in a coma. And it's like 2 hours to showtime. And I remember being in that room, and it's Christmas time. Remember all these Christmas party people are in there, and they're all happy and exuberant. I hated them. Oh, I was so mad at them. Fuck these people with their happiness. Give me another shot of whiskey. The point is, it was all great. But the act of knowing, I think something changed in me that night. Because when I came off stage, because prior to going on stage, I remember thinking to myself, there's no way you're about to go up there and be even remotely entertaining. And then I remember how something shifted, and I did like 90 minutes or something, and I didn't want to come down. And that's when I realized, I was like, oh, bro, this is what you do. That has become your safe space. That has become the place you go when all of the stuff gets crazy. You get up there and you work it out. And that's truth be told, probably one of the only reasons that I hang on to stand up as an identity as much as I do. I could do other things. I do other things. But if you ask me what I do, I'm going to tell you I'm a stand-up comedian. I don't care how many books I write or how many countries I go to or how many films I make or whatever else. I am a stand-up comic because nothing else has ever offered me the comfort that stage offers me on nights like that. And that's our agreement. It's going to treat me the way I need to be treated, and I will do the professional thing and get through my shows no matter how I'm feeling, no matter what's going on at 8 o'clock on a Saturday. So let's call this one, shall we? Go watch the special if you haven't. If you haven't left a comment, it would help me immensely. Anything you do, if you're just following me on Instagram or Facebook, especially YouTube, leaving a comment, leaving a review, a thumbs up, a review if you've got the book. Go check that out on Amazon, Until All the Dragons Are Dead. I should give a copy away. If I had one here in front of me, I would do it on this episode. We'll give a copy away on the next episode. This is the Slade Ham Experiment. You are my good friends, my humble audience that I adore so much here on the Midnight Spaceship. I'll see you on another episode soon.